All right.
Are we on?
Yep, we're on.
Okay, so what time I have had over the weekend? It's been messing around with O1, and for the first time in using AI, I'm actually feeling really quite stupid.
Oh, that's only just happened now?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably just my lack of recognition of my actual innate stupidity.
Hubris.
Yeah.
Hubris.
But it is substantially better
I
in
know,
a
right?
different way, and I'll take you through why.
Okay.
But the beta is still not, well, obviously it's beta, it's still not perfect. As you saw, and I'm seeing, it comes up with typos and so on, but its reasoning is right, but its output seems to be, every now and again, it just gets really stupid typos in there.
Yeah, but we know that fault. Like that is the fault where it hasn't completed training almost.
Yeah, and which is fine because you can always get it to cycle round and say, fix your own typos.
Okay.
But it's been doing useful stuff. So
Right.
in order to figure out this new model, what it's doing was going, as I was saying last time, I think I probably need to rewrite the bots that we've got, because the bots we've got now appear fairly mundane against what the new model can do.
Mundane how?
So, as in, there's a lot of superfluous information there, and the information that we previously had, or I had previously had in the bots, I was using 4.0 Mini in order to check consistency and then stick it through O1, and it was going, whoa, there's loads of stuff that's going to give you problems here. And I'll show
So
you
you mean the quality of the
examples.
prompts? The quality of the prompts are off. You mean?
Yeah, so remember we bootstrapped it up way back with 3.5 and then 4 and 4.0 and Mini, and each time we're using the model to improve the system prompts.
Right.
Now I did the same on this time, and it's showing a whole bunch of things that I hadn't thought about. So what I did was, and unfortunately I've been unfaithful, because I did try to use long thread for it, but it kept on trying to switch to the existing bots when I wanted to talk about the bots itself.
What's an example of that?
I was trying to, for example, I want to create the creator bot, and here's an example of the creator bot, and I kept on going to creator bot to improve itself. It's like,
So switchboard. So you were trying to talk to O1, and you wanted to talk about creator bot, and switchboard got in there and switched you out.
Yeah, saying you want to improve the prompt of creator bot. We've got a bot for that. It's called creator bot. It's like, no.
And when you say you're being unfaithful, you mean like you had to get off of our platform and use something else?
Yeah, I went back onto platform as opposed to long thread.
Okay, can you? That seems your problem to fix, like, isn't it?
It is, but it's a bootstrapping problem. So I'll get back on to long thread as soon as I've figured out what the bootstrapping thing is, in order to, once I've got
like switchboard, like that's a switchboard issue, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to be manually changing switchboard. I want to be interacting with a bot in order to make it self-consistent, coherent, and correct.
Right.
Instead of relying on my meat brain. And in order to do that, I need to get CreatorBot to look at SwitchBot and update.
So you're trying to make a better switchboard.
It's a bit messy.
So that okay. Are there any other hindrances that stop you from using our platform?
No, I think this might be a unique one, because ultimately what I'm trying to do is to improve SwitchBot and CreatorBot is needed in order to do that. But SwitchBot and CreatorBot know what the is the now, and is doing a perfect job about switching backwards and forwards, but it's like, no, I want to talk about you guys. So it's like, I want to take a step back and
Is that
I don't want to talk about it.
as simple as strongly prompting switchboard to when you give it a specific command, like, hey, switchboard, I want to use this agent to switch and stick? Isn't that the stickiness problem?
It could be. It could be. It's
Okay,
like
so how
switch and
about
stick is quite an interesting one.
switch
Yeah,
and
it's
stick?
like,
Like, that's what I was
yeah,
asking you about a week ago. I was like, it's not, I need sticky. And then you made a revision of switchboard that was sticky enough, and so I thought that was good, but it sounds like now you need like hard sticky
yeah.
because
There's yeah. So
yeah,
the revision I made was don't flip in and out just because.
yeah. So do you think
Consider the
then
context, but there's a command. It's like, no, I just want to talk to the
yeah, do you
O
think
one.
then that you could deprompt switchboard for so that it works for this purpose? Because
Um, I could put in there an overriding thing saying if someone asks to talk to a base model,
or
always do
just
that.
turn switchboard's utility way off and just make it
Yeah,
very simple, very light, so that it sticks you onto an agent unless you say something very specific to get off,
right.
like
Yeah,
address it, like call it switchboard, and be
yeah.
like, the
It's
only time you listen is when something calls you as switchboard, maybe.
exactly, yeah, something like that. And now you mention it, that's a great idea. It's just something. It feels a bit like SU, right? And now I'm in a different mode, and I could really fuck things up.
Yeah,
But
but
that's on
because
me not to
the
do it.
reason why I'm pushing for this is the more you use our platform, the more I learn what needs to be built next or fixed next.
Yeah.
And so all that's holding you back there, it sounds like, is you need to deprompt switchboard.
Well, it's not deprompting. It's because a kind of meta, and maybe it's really specific switchboard. If the previous prompt is saying use this model, switch to that model.
Well, whatever it
If
is,
someone
but
says
all that's
I'm
happening
done,
is that
then switch back.
you can't be stuck in the realm of trying to build switchboard
Yeah,
because you haven't got these tools. So you need to like dumb it
yeah,
down so that you can use O1 specifically to build these other tools and then turn it back on.
right, right, yeah, yeah. That's exactly it. And it's I think that would do it actually. Adding that line into switchboard would do it because that could be the overarching thing, and it could be very specific. It's like safeguard. I'm talking to O1, or I'm talking to the latest model. I don't want to hear from anyone else until I say done. Um, and then you're moving into the danger zone of now I'm going to be talking to this and I can update anything. But that's okay because the stuff I'm updating is switchboard itself. There's yeah, there's potentially some safeguards we want to put in there, but yeah, that's essentially it. I think this would be a very unusual change or an unusual thing to want to do, which is if there's a new model, it's use
Yeah,
that new model to update the
yeah,
system itself.
I don't think it's worth actually thinking too much about it. Like the
Yeah,
whole system's fresh and new and whatever,
yeah,
so we should just switchboard's clearly getting in the way, new to it
yeah,
until we're ready to give it some brains again.
yeah. That's okay.
I'm not even terribly convinced that switchboard's all that useful. Like it's getting in the way of whenever I try to do things. Like it's too switchy.
Still too switching. Is that the concept of switchboard? Because I'm loving the concept of switchboard.
Yeah, but it's like it's almost like it. I think I would prefer it if I could address it directly. Like, otherwise, like, if it's trying to figure out if I called another agent just by what I'm talking about, it can get it wrong. I'd rather, I think, as a mode of failure, I'd rather be stuck in an agent too long than yanked out too early.
Well, remember what we said about, must be about 4 calls ago, where I was mentioning that I was anthropomorphizing the agents,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that seemed to be really quick. And so, saying, how do this?
yeah. I think you
Switchboard,
want Switchboard to actually take on that mode of interaction, because if I had a bunch of people that were there to just do what I wanted, and I was giving out commands, I'd rather that, like, if one of them just walked off and another one turned up before I'd finished, I'd be greatly offended. But if one of them needed, I was like, no, no, you're done, get going. That would be less bothersome to me than the alternative, which is them exiting too soon.
yeah.
And that's
I
what's
think
happening.
you're right. I
Yeah,
actually gave a very brief demo. Mentioned that we had family friends around. Now
yeah,
the guy I'm not mentioned because he's not um,
that's fine.
said
Yep,
that.
that's fine.
But his job is he is quite high up in Tesla, and in terms of user interaction and documentation specifically.
Okay.
And I was showing that, and one of the things he mentioned with Switchboard, which is quite interesting, is just like you've given the remote control of your television to someone else, and you're talking away, and they're changing channels for you,
Yeah,
and it's like, isn't that slightly irritating? Which I think mirrors what you're saying. It's slightly
yeah,
irritating if someone else has got the remote control. I want the
yeah,
remote
yeah,
control.
yeah. I want it, and if the remote needs an extra push, I'm okay with that. But if someone changes and I end up thinking, "Hey, I was watching that," then I'm
Right.
mad, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
sluggish is better than eager. So perhaps the whole concept of switchboard needs to be changed to being something that's almost expressly called for, which was the original backchat premise, but it's
Yeah.
expressly called for, and it's called for by anthropomorphized agent.
I agree. And you can have a kind of Overwatch, or Hal, for example, is saying, right, who's in the room? What's my agents? It's fine. Okay. Right. What can Sandra do? Or uh, what can CreatorBot do? It's fine. Right. Okay. CreatorBot, do this. I think that
Um,
that's the
yeah,
key switch.
I don't like making work, but what I think that might mean is
And this is the prompting thing. This is not.
what we could do is actually generate, we could use Mini to generate advertisements for agents based on the current context, so that
Yeah.
the actual summary of the bot, it's not baked in. It's a summary that's relevant to whatever's going on. It's like a dynamic summary instead of a fixed summary that
Oh,
was generated at runtime.
yeah, sort of. We need to see how that feels.
So all you do is that, like, you'd send out a parallel bunch of calls to each agent file to be like, here's the current thread. Tell me how you think you can fit
Oh, I
in
see.
to all
Oh,
of
I see what
this.
you're saying. I'm trying. So inside of context, so there's a few things here, isn't there? A blank prompt, and you say, "What can I do?" You should get the whole chunk because it doesn't know anything about what you intend to do.
Yeah,
If you're deep in doing a task and saying, "Who can help?"
yeah. Each
then
agent in the
you're asking the
background,
yeah,
Switchboard is receiving um, asynchronous summaries of each agent saying what they think they can do that's relevant to here. And
yeah,
Switch, when you ask for help or something vague, that's when those relevant summaries are called upon instantly.
yeah, yeah. I think that again, back to we need to bend to the meat brain. Um, that feels about right. So infinite number of people, and it's like, oh shit, how to do this? Right.
Mm.
Uh, anyone who can help, put their hand up. It's like, there you go. half dozen hands. Right,
Right.
great.
And then you're
Yeah,
like, ideas.
already.
Who's got the
Yeah.
best ideas? And then someone's like, sir, we can we can
Yeah,
shoot the dissenters. You're like, okay, next. Like, we can
yeah.
inspire the men. We can publish stories of their valor and you
Right.
more.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
We can make haikus. It's like, okay, you go back to the bottom of the list.
Yeah, so
Um,
maybe that's a different thing. But I guess what this discussion is about then is that the core purpose of Switchboard needs to change to being back a level and a lot slower to come in.
yes,
Yeah,
and purposeful.
yeah,
Because when I was talking to the base prompt, when I was talking about CreatorBot, it's like I want to update CreatorBot. It was like latching onto CreatorBot and it's going, you want to use CreatorBot to improve CreatorBot. It's like, well, no,
sort of,
because I want to
sort of, but no.
CreatorBot, go out of the room. I want to talk about you,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
to someone else.
Yeah, so it
Um,
kind of needs to have be a little bit programmable too. Like when it gets stuck on something, you what you need to solve that is the ability to talk to Switchboard, because Switchboard is currently
yeah, it's pretty dumb. Yeah,
it's
I
not
said, well,
dumb.
it's not dumb, but it
It's
doesn't. It's not.
forced to switch. It can't
Yeah,
indicate that it would like to have a word now, please. You can't talk to Switchboard the way I've set it up, but I could make it so that Switchboard could ask a few questions, maybe.
yeah, it needs to be able to push back, doesn't it? It's like,
Yeah.
uh, and also you need to be able to push back on switchboard, saying no switchboard, just bring in the new. I'm no longer calling it dumbbot because O1 is not dumb. Makes me feel dumb,
It's yep.
but it's like bring in the new raw bot.
Yeah, something like that.
And
Okay.
and
So
so
what else?
until I'm done, I wanted to only talk to that guy.
Yeah, so that sounds like prompting, so I can leave that entirely to you, right?
Yep, yep.
And you know how to update. Have you managed to update your platform installation when you change the HAL repository on GitHub?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
Oh my God. Sorry, that's my phone. I'm going to ignore. Oh, I'm getting a call from Massachusetts. Why am I doing that? Okay. Yes. But I need to play with that more because I did it. It continued working. It was fine, but I didn't actually, push
Okay.
it to find out.
So no more. So no changes for me. That's entirely changes from you.
Yeah.
Can I want to, because we might get interrupted. I just want to show you where I'm at and where I'm sort of stuck now.
Uh-huh.
So this is an example of the UI. Now you can see that it's got the file browser is now live, so you can
Yep.
browse agents.
Yep.
The bit I'm working on now is to be able to open and edit those Markdown docs. But what's interesting is that it works with isolation. So I can say I can write a file, and then while I'm watching this file, I can see I'm watching it remotely, and we've got meow.txt. But then when I go back to my base thread, there's no meow.txt
Uh-huh. Yeah.
because it's isolated in the branch.
Right.
And
Yes,
so
that
you
would
could
be
murder this whole file system, and this thread would be unaffected until you merged.
Yeah.
What?
The paradigm of file system is basically a stash, a hierarchical stash, and you could quite easily get confused if you've got multiple threads with different stashes. What's
That's the core of our system. That's what our system is.
it is, but I'm just wondering about how to indicate that. It's almost
Well,
like a ghost. It's like there is
so
this
what
file still exists,
I was
but
gonna
it's
make
on somewhere else.
um a branch explorer,
Mm.
which would be one level above the file explorer, which lets you see all your branches, and then view the files within them. So
Regardless of threads.
regardless of what branch you're in,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you can
that
reach
works.
out and browse all the other branches, and then later we can do things like show the differences or show what's changed between branches, so you can compare branches and
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that.
No, that works because then the paradigm in your head is when you're inside of a thread, when you pop out of the thread and the file disappears, it's not being deleted. It's still
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's just a
So
filter. It's a
right,
filter.
so things that are sticky or things that are difficult are, how should I indicate that there have been file changes that need to be pushed or saved? Like here we've made meow.txt. Where
Mm.
and when should the suggestion be made to merge back up to parent? Like when are you done in your sandbox and you want to save it permanently? Should that be a message that you got here? It's like the file mail.txt has been successfully created. Bear in mind that unless you merge up to your parent branch, this file will be lost forever. Like,
Mm.
is
It's
that
quite.
relevant? It's a bit
It's it's
wordy.
it's quite. Yeah, it's quite a high cognitive load there, isn't it?
But what's the alternative? Are you expecting that the files are saved automatically so that anytime you make a change, it writes to this branch, or should that be your
No,
choice?
because you want multiple. Say if you even fork twice into two different threads and you're working on meow in both, you know, you want to know um, that meow is in a super state at that point, and then when you collapse it, that's when it goes up. So how on earth do you do that? That's a really good question. What
Okay, well,
is
I'll
the
leave that with you to ponder
structure of
about, because I don't think that's not a single, that's not an easy answer.
it's not?
The second thing is that the behavior I was going to do for viewing is that it
Mm-hmm.
seems that exploring and viewing can be the same thing. So, for example, if I double click on meow.txt, I would replace the file explorer widget with now the viewer slash editor of meow.txt,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to trying to show the file in the space I've got down here. I don't want to get into the world of making multi-panel GUIs. Like I really just want to.
No, and multi-panel GUIs are anathema to what we're doing because the whole
I
point of
know,
widget app is that's exactly what you want to do right now, and all the options that you want to
yeah,
do
but
in
then there's
context are there.
the issue is that the browsers really come in a stack. So at the bottom of the stack is the branch browser. Then on top of that is the file explorer browser, um, as well as maybe the commit browser, but I'm not sure if that matters exactly. And then the file viewer. So, now you've got this stack of things. Like if I'm in this file explorer, it might be reasonable to expect that I want to change my branch. Now, do I have like a back button, or is there like a
Well, a back
concertina
button,
thing going on, or what?
a back button is always useful because what the back button is there to do is, okay, I think I want to do this thing. It's like, oh no, actually, no, get me out of that.
Okay, so up
Um,
there, I'll chuck in a back button, and when you click back, you're going to go into the branch explorer.
you go into whatever you're doing last in the context of what you're doing last.
What's an
Um,
example of some stacked context?
for example, if you're going to view meow text, and you go, yeah, okay, meow text is good. Right, take me back to where I was without changing anything else.
back to where you was. So you've selected mail text, and I'll make it
Yeah,
show up here that you have selected mail.txt. Then you want to click a back button that's around about here,
yeah.
and then go to whatever other stateboard was doing prior.
No, to do what I was doing prior. So, for example, you've just created meow text,
Mm.
and it's like, okay, select meow text. I want to
Yeah,
edit.
yeah.
Then you're an editor. I agree with get rid of the file explorer at that point.
Okay, so but when I want to edit, should it have to go via the prompt? So like double clicking, which is the action to open meow text, should that cause the prompt to go open file meow.txt, and then you got to wait for the AI to issue the command that then opens the viewer? Or should
No, it feels
right?
clunky that.
That is clunky. So okay, so I double click on meow.txt, it will open up a viewer that takes up this whole screen.
Yep.
And then how do I get out of the viewer and back to the file explorer?
Just the back button, because
Back.
cognitively you know what you were doing before you double clicked on meow.txt.
Okay.
It's like,
Okay, so I could edit meow.txt, and then I could finish up, get out of that, and then what? I'm back in the Explorer.
You're back in the Explorer. There's not been anything additional told to the AIs. So, meow.txt, you're adding in meow, meow, meow. Okay, get me back out, File Explorer. Maybe you've got woof.txt into woof.txt. Woof, woof, woof.
Yeah.
Back out. And now, when you go back to the AI, it's saying, list me the files that sound like dogs, for example. And it's using the files that you've used in this thread and that you've just changed. But when you're changing backwards and forwards, you can go up and down. In this example, it's the File Explorer, into Edit, back out, into another Edit, back out. Okay, now I'm talking to the AI. So an example of how this would be useful, which would actually be very useful. So I'm, say, talking to SmartBot or default bot. It's like, I want to create, you want to alter create a bot. It's like, okay, well, there's a create a bot. Okay, right, maybe I want to make a few changes. And then create a bot is also generating dream catcher bot. I go in, okay, right, back up. Okay, so default bot. I've just changed these two files. Can you tell me if there's anything inconsistent between them, for example? So it seems like, are we going off piece here, though?
Yeah, it's like it's become an app. It's like a fucking...
It just struck me. So my kind of golden path is, all I want to do is to be able to talk to this thing and get a display of what it's doing so I can see, but I never touch another keyboard and never touch another mouse again. And
Well, your life's not going to work out that way, because there are some operations that you need to use a geometry-based interface for, such as locations on a map, sort order of lists, art, like pencil drawings, sketches.
okay, so yeah, I was about to disagree with you on the first two, but then when you went to annotations,
Well, mate, you can't disagree with points on a map,
thing.
because, like, using text to describe
sure,
a
you
map
can.
location.
Like five pins, and then you talk to the bot saying, okay, so pin 5, that is Scotland. That's what I mean. But annotations, nah, you can't describe annotations, can you? It's like big circle around this bit. So your original question was how to structure this. I think that
It's almost like a widget needs to be a little bit conventional, but not to the point of it being anything that's sort of an advanced feature, where advanced will have to be sort of, dealer's choice as to what
Mm-hmm.
advanced is. Um, an advanced feature needs to call the prompt, and the prompt will reconfigure the widget to do the advanced thing. Because otherwise, you end up having to control the widget using an ever exploding number of commands.
That's an interesting insight because what you're saying is the difference between actions that are advanced and mundane. The more mundane, because we're already used to UIs,
Yeah.
why not use the conventions of
Yeah, right. Because
UIs?
because I could, if I had simply if I double click and it opens up a viewer, and then I get a cross and I can close the viewer, I can rapidly scan through each file here and determine if it is the thing I want. Chatting about it will take me, you know, even if the bots were instant, chatting would still take me longer than I could do it just by poking around.
Yeah, I'm still going to hold by the golden bath, but for now, I think that's probably out of reach because when you're chatting about it, you need some kind of reference about what you're chatting about. Now, it's easy for a file explorer. I could say open curtains. It would know what I'm talking about. You put up a map there, and I say, okay, can you zoom into that bit on the left? Maybe it could get that right.
Right.
You put up a random image and saying, right, I want to put a circle around the girl with the hat with the pineapple thing.
Yeah,
Probably not.
yeah, because that hits the limits
Probably not right.
that hits the limits of what even you can describe, because you're like,
Yeah,
ah, the thing, right? Like
yeah.
point and click for things that you don't know how to describe is the only way to go. Um,
I think for now, I think that's the limit, and the limit, interesting, is defined by the how expressive and eloquent the user is. So, for example, I could say, take that map. Um, right, zoom into the icon that says one. I think it's a bridge. Um,
well, there's like
now,
that's a bridge, um,
yeah,
that's a bridge,
yeah, yeah,
that's a
and it's like
bridge,
what's an icon? So the cognitive load is
that's
put
a
onto the
bridge.
AI, and I don't think. And also, interesting enough, there's two icons with one there, right? And
Yeah,
I
right.
could put a maybe it's a bridge around there,
There
and
is.
then
Yeah,
I get I get frustrated. It's like no, I meant the bridge over the river.
yeah, yeah. Whereas just like
So
clicking and pointing has
it does have it,
there's a certain
there's
definity about it. Like there's a it's the end of all ambiguity if you're like that
well,
one.
it's yeah. Remember, I've been going on for a while about if you're talking to your system about your payroll, you want a button to say "Run payroll." You don't want to, you know, your wife come in and saying, "Hey, I've just got my payroll. I
Or
think
no,
we
or
should
you
run it
no, no,
past you."
or you're
And it
like
goes, "No, no, don't do
right.
that."
You're
I
like,
was like,
okay, I'm gonna go for a run now, and it's like, oh, do the run? Okay,
Yeah. So there's certain actions that require that. I think what you've touched on here is there's actually perhaps
there's a sweet
probably
spot.
a superset.
There's
Yeah.
an artistic kind of a way where these widgets are useful without them becoming complicated to both program and to use, and it's something about the way that they are layered. Like a complex app has many different settings and hidden things, right? Like this thing, you're like, okay,
Right.
I could do
Well,
any of
it's
these
like
things,
yeah.
right? And then you got like this shit, and it's like when I click on one of these, it's gonna take me somewhere different, right? Like it's gonna go to some, like that's a complicated UI because it had to jump me out.
Yeah.
Anytime it would have had to jump me out, I think it's time for it's the AI gets in there, right?
Yeah. I think yeah. Now this we might be pushing on I don't know one of these meta rules. Um, As soon as the cognitive load is moved to the human, then we got it wrong. So
Yeah.
by cognitive load, it's like show me, the zoom in on icon one, which there's a
Yeah,
British
yeah,
mayor there.
yeah, that's
And it's
right,
like,
that's right.
uh,
And but there's also like another sort of a rule. Hang on, I'm just trying to think how to say it. If I can't do it all by speaking,
mm,
then there's probably something wrong too. Like the mundaneness of the file explorer is just a faster way for me to do what I could do via text.
hmm
But there are some. If I stack functionality too deep, then I can end up asking questions like,
well,
what's
here's
behind the drop down menu, right? Like, if I have to ask what's in the drop down menu, like, that's sort of, fuck, no.
it's yeah, you're right. You're right. Actually, I think I know
I'll
an
think
idea.
about it more. I said it
Uh,
badly, but
no. I think I get what you're saying. So, for example, in this instance, if I were to say, I've got a file, I think it's in curtains, it might be in tests. The contents, I think I did 3 months ago, but it definitely had to do with CreatorBot. That would be an NL
that's a great use
search.
of NL. That's a great use of NL, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think what the thing I'm trying to say is that a widget should present a single layer of information. The issue with a modern GUI is that it layers information because it can only present so much on screen, and so it
right.
needs to make you drill down into layers of functionality to do different things,
But
right?
again, the cognitive load is on the human. It's like, okay, so now you've got to know
Yeah,
that these 3 by 3 boxes in the top
right.
right have
You
to
got to
do
go
with other
looking.
stuff.
You got to go
Yeah,
looking, right? Whereas if
hunting and
I
pecking. Yeah.
if I was to say that anything that requires a drill requires you to talk to the AI, and then it will reconfigure the next layer of information for you so that so that it's smooth. Like there's not
Yes, and the corollary of that is anything that is a direct action should be in the panel, in the
direct action.
stateboard.
Yeah, yeah, direct action. But the if it's gonna do a write, then I think the write should require it going via the AI. So like
Oh, that's interesting.
I'd
What
open
do you
up.
mean commit this?
Well, if I just open up README to view,
Mm,
that should show, and I read it. I didn't change the system, right? I just looked at it. But if I want
yeah.
to change something, like edit it, when I click save, it should convert that to a prompt going in saying save file readme. Here's the changes, blah blah blah. Like it's a button that expands and enters the prompt, because otherwise it is to say that you can't do that. Like it's a piece of functionality that the AI is not aware that you did. The AI shouldn't needs to know that you saved something, so that when you chat to it, it'll be like, "Oh, that file I saved last week." It needs to know that that happened.
That makes sense. And so, right. So state changes need to be through the prompt.
Yeah, state changes, a write to the file system must go through the prompt, and I can't think offhand of an area where that wouldn't be true. That can be, the data change can be arbitrarily large. The AI doesn't have to process it through context, but it needs to know that a write was triggered. And then it also should be the thing that knows about merging up to parent. Like we somehow need to baptize this thing with the knowledge about Git branches, which it knows the concept. It just needs to, we need to metaphor it in here somehow so that it can suggest at an appropriate time, hey, you know, did you wanna save these things up, or if I go running off to another thread, it should prompt me politely, hey, and I noticed that your browser disconnected from this other session, that you made some edits that looked important. Do you want me to save those to your home directory, or should I ditch them, or you want to
Yeah,
get back to it?
I think you've hit on something here, isn't it? The stateboard needs to be in sync with the NL. The NL needs to know
It
everything
has
that
to
you've been
know,
looking.
yeah,
Yeah,
because otherwise, first of all, what's the point? And second of all, the AI can't serve your flailing meat brain in the future when you won't remember this day.
yeah.
It needs to know.
So take the run the payroll thing. If you hit the button on the payroll, all that's doing is triggering the NL
Yeah,
to run it, and then
yeah,
it knows that you've run the payroll.
right.
And then you go, tell me about the last payroll, because otherwise it goes off into the wilderness, and maybe it's run, maybe it's not. The NL doesn't know anything, or the
No,
agent
and
doesn't know
now
anything.
the NL will have to go. The NL will have to hunt and peck to figure out what on earth you were
Yeah,
talking about.
you have to load in everything. It's like payroll.
Right.
You run 12
But
businesses,
it
which
also
payroll?
meant that the button here was somehow hooked up to Artifact in a way that bypassed the NL, which means that it's sort of like, yes, you could do that, but
But should you?
now, well, no, every time you hard code a button, that button can only do that thing. It can't be called by NL. It can't be compounded, or it can't be a bot can't do an arbitrarily complex process and then call your button. Like, you've killed the whole composability of the system if you start making dedicated buttons that do I don't know what.
Well, here's an example of something I'd love. Right. Okay.
All
So
right?
we've got a bunch of files.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is,
You mean these files here?
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just take this example. What I'd like to do is click on hammer.
Click
Not
on
do
hammer.
anything. Not
There.
open it.
Yeah.
Not open it. Just select it,
Yeah.
and then say to the agent, have a look at this file, and make these changes.
Have a
Whatever they
look
were.
at this file and then make these changes, which I'll give you shortly. So you
Yeah.
would have expected that you click that. I'll give you a little signal here that says that you've selected something. And
Yeah.
then when I click go with this prompt, the AI will know that I am talking about this hammer in this branch
That's
with this hash, and it will
that's
use
your
that.
context.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. For example, and also say select on hammer. Also select on Ross Scott's notes, and then say, are there any definition problems between these two? Let's talk about that. So
So I would select these
it's a
two things, and
context.
I'd say, consider these two files, compare them to find any conflicts in the information they contain.
Yeah.
And then you'd click go. Both those files would be ingested into context, or at least the bot would be aware that that's what you're talking about. It may choose to read the whole thing, read piecemeal, make a drone call to do something else, all these
Yeah.
different things. But that's how you indicate to it that there's bigger data than what fits in context that you want to talk about.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Now
Yeah.
let's move it into a more difficult area, just to uh, proof test this. A map where there is two Route One icons, and you want to know. Give me an image of the Route One, bridge. Or expect on the same paradigm, exactly the same paradigm, is to be able to click on the icon I'm talking about and then say, give me an image of this.
So in this case, there's two Route 1 icons showing over State Highway 1, because
Yeah.
New Zealand's that small that we actually live on the main road. And so and because there's two of them, that's ambiguous. But you're saying that you'd click on one,
Yeah, and
which
ask questions about that.
right, because this happens to be, I think it's New Zealand's most popular suicide spot right there.
Well, okay,
Um,
well, that's a good example. A bit dark, but click on that and saying, give me all the stats about suicides at this point.
right, and so I could have. It's also right next to like the bungee
That's
jumping
very
thing.
dark example.
Um,
Sorry, we probably shouldn't use them, but yeah.
well, I mean, it's relevant. I don't know why data has to be forbidden. So I could. So
I
you're
agree.
saying that I
Yeah.
could click there, and then that would
Top.
show up in as a selection above the prompt,
Yeah.
and then I would
Mm,
say something to it like, "Tell me about all of the." I can't think of anything other than that first example, but
Um.
tell me about
Uh.
interesting points about
Yeah.
where I've just clicked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Tell me about where the good views are. I'm here. Click.
Ah, right. So
Where
I
can I
could
get lunch?
say, yeah,
Yeah.
I could say, tell me all the good places to eat that are within 10 minutes walk of this location. And
Right.
because I've touched it, so I can do like a super hacky UI view here. So there we go. This is how, so it's like,
Oh, oh, oh.
hey,
You're going to hell, man.
I
But
may
yeah,
already
yeah,
be
yeah.
there, my friend. But so over here, above the prompt, the selection would have appeared, and the selection will update whenever I change what I'm clicking on. But as soon as I hit go, it knows that I meant that thing.
Yes, it's the context. It's
Yeah,
like the thing that you're talking about reflects in what you've just clicked. And I think that's where you're driving down to in terms of the two need to be in sync. So it's like,
yeah, they gotta be in sync. You can't just have these random things. Like if it
yeah,
didn't go through the AI, you've lost the ability to have the AI act intelligently on your behalf, right? Because
right, because the alternative is you can be talking to the NL and you go, oh, okay, you want to find restaurants close to your area. Let me bring you up a map, and then what are you doing? Are you interacting just with the right hand side? That's kind of missing the point because then you've got all
yeah,
this extra clicking around to do. But it's like, okay, so I'm in Birkenhead. Tell me where the good nightclubs are.
right. But it's even well, that'll stump the AI pretty good, won't it? Like, thought
Yeah.
for 5 minutes and 37 seconds. I'm sorry,
I'm
Dave.
sorry, Dave. I can't do that.
Okay, so I should also be able to have something like I should be able to say highlight all the files that contain information about peanut allergies, and then that would go through all my files and contacts because it knows what
Yes,
I'm
because
looking at,
it's two-way context, isn't it?
and then what it would display to me is I'd see these highlights start appearing as the bot is grinding through it,
Right. Exactly.
and then
Exactly.
and then
So
after that I'm like, now cross-reference this against blah 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 blah, and right,
yeah,
that's the sort of thing
yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about, yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And then so that to and forward, it's like if you highlight something on the right, the left knows what you're talking about.
Mm.
If you do something on the left, then the right hand side displays what the result is, and so then you can hone down and hone down.
Yeah, both sides
That's
can
They have
contribute
to
to
be in
the
sync,
other.
don't they? They
Yeah,
have to be in sync. Otherwise, it's a cognitive kind of. "Ugh, okay, so you just create me a new app. That's really cool, but now I'm just back in app world.
mm.
I don't care if it was created in the last millisecond or whether it was created 3 months ago by someone in Palo Alto.
Right. Now I was planning to make the widget at least be aware of things like content. so that when, say, for example, this is a .json file, when I view it,
Mhm.
I want to see it in a specific viewer that's different to the Markdown viewer. And
Yeah,
so
sure. I mean,
that's legit, right? Like
that's fairly uncontroversial. So if you wanted to,
uncontroversial,
so
yeah.
yeah, if you wanted to see this in Markdown, fine, you should be able to select it. But if, for example, if you're in Markdown and it displayed in Markdown and you highlighted and then you talk to the NL,
All right.
you wanted
And
to
then,
have that context of what you highlighted be the subject of what you're about to talk about.
right. And then if I select these files, for example, I right click and I go delete, what that should do is prompt, it should show them as selected above the prompt, and then when I click the delete button, if I even give you a delete button, it would pre-fill out the prompt that says delete selection and then hit enter for you, and then the AI would trigger, and the AI would be like, hang on, buddy, that's my core arithmetic and logic unit there, don't delete that, or whatever, right? So when you want to write or modify the file system,
Oh, you
it's,
mean AI catches you from doing something really stupid?
yeah. Like, I remember blowing my feet off multiple times in Linux. Like, my skill was reinstalling Linux because I would, like,
Yeah,
it had very little safety rails when it first came out. But
yeah.
it's almost like our
Um,
system is trying to find a way to make Git actually usable to the everyday people, because so many times I see people with issues where Git would have solved it, but Git is too complex a step for them. Like, who's got this
yes,
version? I have this version. Oh,
it's
there's a
not simple.
difference. Oh dear.
Yeah, the cognitive load on using Git is quite high.
It's
But
painful.
it's very very good. But it requires you to actually put some effort in. And people are not very good with effort.
Hmm.
So I think we were converging, and we can get back about the hierarchical view. But on the right, it's just again, this is like a whiteboard, but it's a whiteboard that you've got your smart people in the room, and you can point to it and say,
Yeah.
right, we're talking about this.
Right.
And we're talking about that. Combine it with this and that. Now let's talk about that, and then you update it, and it's
Okay.
updated.
All right. I think
Everything goes through NL.
I think I've got enough from you to get through the next day's worth of work. But I just want to call out that these are quite delicate. Like, it's quite a delicate thing to put together. I feel like I'm getting faster at it now that we get to build on the decisions we've made in the past. But this connection of the correct cognitive balance between stateboard and chat is very sensitive.
Yes, and the analogy I continue to do is you are the man. You've got an infinite number of very smart people outside your door, and you've got a whiteboard, and you're trying to do a task. And
Right. And then some of those people come in with some whiteboard paper or they bring their own whiteboard and wheel it in.
right,
Some of them bring in.
Let's extend it to an infinite room where you've got as many whiteboards as you want, but
Right.
the context is always about the conversation about what you're doing at this point, but also, right, it's like, okay, that was a rabbit hole. Let's go back up to what
So those people could bring in with them not just whiteboards but whole tools. Like, somebody could wheel in a CNC lathe, and then you're like, do this, do that, and then once you're finished, take that down to so and so. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
The widget can be anything, and you can have multiple people in the room at once. So right now we're only dealing with one stateboard, but you could have many by way of many tabs.
You could do, and we haven't really addressed how to jump up or jump between. So say you've got two rabbit holes.
Yeah, so that's the branch browser, definitely, and there's probably a bot in there that deals with looking across branches, where you're like, hey, branch master, what's going on over here and over here. Can you merge those two, or can you split this out?
Right, right, exactly. So, for example, if you're going to down two rabbit holes, you don't know whether either will work. And it's
Mm.
like, okay, right, you come in, we're working on this one. It's like, not sure this is going to work. Right, other guy, come in. Okay, right, let's compare those. It's like, oh, okay, so there's some interaction between those. Okay, right, let's merge those right onto the next subject.
Mm.
That's the kind of train of thought that people can do, but only up to, I don't know, typically people say it's like 6, 7 things that you can hold, so it's not infinitely deep.
I can
But
only I can hold like a half a thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'm better than that. I can do one thing, but give me another thing, and then I forget what the first thing was. So being able to hold that train of thought, bring in different things, explore different things, bring it back in, merge it. So when you merge it, what we're really talking about is the right-hand side. The stateboard is okay. So you've been talking about this thing. Oh, here's an interesting one for your merge question at the top of the call. So it's like, right, I'd like to merge. Possibly what you want to see is two folder structures with the highlighted changes, a bit like GitHub does, and saying, here's what merge does. Do you want to go for that? And you go, yeah, okay. Let's merge them. So the comparison thing is important. So previously in this call, we were talking about the stateboard being the thing that you're focusing on, but there's another type, which is a comparative thing. Where you,
Isn't that that's just another widget in the stateboard though?
it could be,
Because
but
the concept that seems to be recurring is the fact that there's always this privileged thread, which is the thread that you're in right now, and you're using that to peer into the rest of the system, the rest of the world. And so you never, it's diabolical to be in your current thread and then perform surgical operations on your current thread, but using that current thread to perform surgery on remote threads is very, very comforting. Because your AI is there to make sure you
yes,
don't cut your feet off by accident, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
know you're not modifying the thread you're on, so you're safe.
yes, yes, and
And
yeah,
in that case, what you're
exactly,
talking about is just another type of stateboard widget that we make. Like people are free to make as complex a widget as they like. I'm just trying to get some sort of hierarchical or some heuristics, I suppose, for how we should make our widgets so that I don't end up in UI hell.
yeah, yeah. I think you're right. I think it is just another widget, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. The diff widget.
bot. Um, I've just been talking to Sandra and Bill, and on the same topic. I'd like to merge these things, but before I do that, I'd like to talk to you about, Sandra got it right sometimes, Bill got it right
Yeah,
other times.
yeah, yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. All right. So again, well, not again. The programming model that I've been trying to go for is actually there's the human interaction always goes through an AI and then ends up in isolates running on an artifact.
Yeah.
And that's the key to, that's why I'm trying to push for the fact that any writing from a widget goes through the AI because it has to proxy through the AI.
Yes.
Otherwise you're
I
not an intelligent system. Anything that
I
happens on the
agree.
other side of the AI, the artifact AI, is lost to me. Like, how? What would I do with that? How would I help you? How would
Right. And because
you know?
otherwise, as you're saying, the AI then has to hunt and peck, going, what just happened?
Yeah, it doesn't, and it doesn't know what you're talking about. So it's critical that whatever the human experiences, the AI experiences it too. It has to bear witness to whatever you do. I don't
Yeah.
think it needs to know about, oh, then you click that, and then you click that, and then you click
No,
that, and you
no,
finally
no.
arrive
That's
there.
noise. That's
Yeah.
noise.
It just needs to know when you're about to write something. I think instinctively, the animal within us knows when we're about to change something, and we go into a different part of our neural net when we're about to make a change
Yeah,
instinctively.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
all like,
And you get it's like
ooh,
adrenaline rush.
yeah,
It's like,
ooh, yep, go.
yeah,
You know, but
it's you do a bank transfer and it's like, oh, let me just
yeah,
check
and
these
I
numbers.
think that from a user experience point of view, that type of, like, I'm going to sound very Californian, but that type of paradigm helps with the feeling that anything you do over here doesn't matter, and you can just sort of play because you know that when it goes to change the system, it's going to go through this prompt. And furthermore, an AI is going to catch you if you do something silly. But the point is that reading is sort of free, frivolous. It's side effect. It's without side effect. But
Yeah,
writing always goes through the prompt, and that gives you the safety, like how you talk about having a button. But if you train people to instinctively always be, just even if it's just subconsciously that they pick up on it, that system change goes through the prompt, then they'll know that over here they start to not worry about doing stuff.
I think that's right. And also, therefore, the prompt is the one that does the confirmation.
Yeah.
It's like you
Well,
want to give your entire wealth to your ex-wife. Are you sure?
yeah, and it would be not as much a button like what you say, but it might be like requiring another prompt. Like it's like, oh, you wanted to transfer everything to this guy in Nigeria that only emailed you
Yeah.
once, and then it's like it might say, um, in order to do this, you need to tell me what the sum of 15 divided by 3 is, or some sort of a,
Oh,
like
oh, that's nice. Yeah, it's
something NL,
a
something
little,
an
a
intelligence
bit like a
test.
capture. Yeah.
Yeah, or you could have a module in there that, because it knows your private data, it's like, tell me what your favorite topic was last week, or tell me 3 things that you
Yeah.
spoke to me about over the last month. You know, and
Oh, that is brilliant. That's so much better than your mother's maiden name,
I
right?
know, right?
It's
It's like,
like last Tuesday we were talking about stuff.
yeah,
What was it?
yeah, that's right, that's right.
That is, uh,
It's like a reverse capture.
that's really brilliant. Actually, that's really cool because it is impossible. Give if the system itself has integrity, confidentiality, and availability, then asking that kind of question is it's like yeah, your mother's maiden name. Um, yeah, who knows? You've given your mother's maiden name off to many
So many places, right?
sites.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably everyone knows it, including
Right.
Vladimir
But you're
Putin.
generating one of a kind private data all the time when you interact with this system. And so
Yeah,
it can quiz you on it to make sure you're the same person pretty easily.
yeah, that's really nice. It's like,
Hmm.
what time did you first talk to me this morning? It's like, oh,
Where did we first meet?
it's like I got up about
Name the
6. It's
internet
like
connection that we first met on.
that is really cool. Okay, now, so the all the rights go through NL.
Yeah.
And all the stateboard is there to give you rich information,
Yep.
but also to allow you to click and indicate the context.
Yes. Point and
And
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then you go back to NL saying, "I'm talking about this place. Tell me, what the nightclubs are like around here,"
Right.
which you can do at the moment through Google Maps for sure, but it's multiple contexts. It's like
Yeah,
tell
and once we can get the social aspects of the system up, it can be including, like, show me all the clubs that my friends went to, like find my friends of friends and where they go
right.
and when they go, like show me the chances that I'll find my people based on my profile. You know, it's like it's deep
Exactly,
queries.
exactly, and that's really cool. That's a really good point. So it's like select Glasgow, Edinburgh. I went to go out to a nightclub. Um, what have I said about these nightclubs before, and who are my mates going to be there?
Mm.
which would be impossible at the moment through search
That's right.
because it's got to do with your context.
Oh, hey, here's a new kind of question that we need to answer.
Mm.
It is, uh, what widgets have you got? Like how when you ask Switchboard, what agents have you got? That's
Mm.
one thing. But then now that we got more
Oh,
and
I
more
see what you're saying.
widgets, like you know,
Show me the map. Now, the NL could discern that you're talking about location and therefore you're talking about a map, but
yeah,
actually you might be wanting the photos roll, which is
right.
also to do with
It could be a
location.
photo of a map. Like the more widgets we have, we need to be able to search for the widgets. Like because people that are trying to learn about the system are like, well, you know, what widgets have you got and what can I use them for? And it should be able to show a widget that lists all the widgets, sort of like a catalog of widgets.
Yes. Yeah.
The
And
widget
again,
of widgets.
because the right hand side, the stateboard is read, you can say, you can click through them. It's like, show me the voters roll, show me a map, show me, a list of everyone who lives here, and
So it would look like this.
uh,
It'd look like this. It'd be like a library and it would have like widgets displayed in a set of panels and then you'd be able to select on it and then be like, what does this widget do? Um,
yeah,
and things like that, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Again, that's into the meta, isn't it? So it's like, what can I do? Which
Yeah.
is a really difficult question to answer.
Yeah, yeah, okay. All right,
Um,
that's really cool then.
yeah,
Okay, so the focus of any widget and the selections within are able to be displayed above the prompt, but at the same time, the AI is also capable of driving that focus as well. So if I'm like, show me on a map the place I was talking about last week, it might be like, well, there was actually three places, so I'm gonna bring up the map widget, and then I'm gonna lay down these three pins that indicate where you might have meant, and
right.
then I'm going to ask you which one of these three did you mean, and you can either click on the map or tell me with English, like
Yes.
number one,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. And even if you're more vague than that, that was quite vague. Which three locations was I talking about last week? You could have
Right,
been talking about Edinburgh, Kiev, or Auckland.
right,
You're not going to get that on a map. That's any kind of use. And
right,
so the AI decides, okay, I'm going to give you like just these as lists. It's like, I've got three. Which one do you mean?
right.
Instead of listing them out in text, because text is quite a high cognitive load.
It's painful. It's really painful, and you just don't want it. An additional helper that we might consider adding is a presentation layer bot that is an audio text to speech version, but it only gives you a very brief summary of the points of the text. So the
Mm-hmm.
text could be like a full page worth, but the audio can give you just a background quick summary
Oh my
thing,
god,
you know?
that uh, that would be really useful. Because
Yeah.
one of the things I'm hitting with O1 is just too precise.
It's too wordy, yeah. But it'll get better. Like 4.0 was way better than 4 in terms of the wordiness. It seemed to
Yeah,
tune it just right to just the right amount of what I wanted from
yeah, but it's not the number of words; it's the information density. It's like getting handed a contract, one-page
yeah.
contract,
Yeah, that's
as
right.
opposed
That's
to
right.
someone saying, right,
That's right.
okay, so the contract
But
is this, this, and that.
that'll get a lot better. Okay, so tomorrow I think the best way for me to understand this relationship between stateboard and chat is to add some extra widgets. A map will be an easy one, so I'll add that in and give Hal control of the focus and vice versa,
Yeah,
as well as getting a branch explorer up so that we can start manually navigating branches so that we can understand how to make a bot navigate it for us. once I have that branch explorer, that should open the door to being able to manually merge up, even if it's just pushing a button that drives a prompt that's pre-filled with exactly the information you would need to make the isolate function call. And
Well,
then
yeah,
that,
yes. Well, I mean that just kind of answers your original question about how you do merge up or how you go with your meow example
yeah,
up. It's like, well, there's a widget saying, um, you're inside of this branch, and like, show me where I am.
right,
Okay, you're in
yeah,
this
right,
branch, and it's like, I want to merge up, saying, well, this is what's going to happen.
yeah,
On the right, it's like, okay, yes, yes, no, right, back to the NL action.
okay,
So that appears to work, I think.
all right. Look, I
No,
think
very
I
good.
think I'm
Yeah.
nearly done, man. Like I think I can see how this can work for us. I just want to take a moment to talk about Dino. See how
Oh, sorry, man.
you got to
I've
go.
just been given a no. I've been given a 5 minute warning.
5 minute warning. Okay.
I could probably push that to 10. And yeah.
All right. Why don't we switch over to your stuff? Because I got what I need to work now.
Well, my stuff's correct.
Please tell me if you hit issues with the UI layout for your laptop, and then I will spend some time making sure that it works correctly. Issues
Yeah,
you may
yeah.
find are things like
There's sorry.
you may find issues in selection when the screen gets too small, but
Yeah.
because I haven't spent any time making it responsive or anything like that. So yeah, just keep me posted.
I will. I've got loads of screen real estate, so it's not
Oh, cool.
indicative
Okay.
of
All right, great.
general use. I'm wondering whether, given that 5-ish minutes, maybe we should. I'll give you a very high overview
Okay, buddy,
of
hit me.
O1.
Yep,
I'll bring stuff up.
hit me.
Where's my? Oh,
What am I doing?
just behave yourself. You
What are you doing,
bloody machines.
man? Space Odyssey was a pretty insane
Oh
movie.
yeah. Did you enjoy the experience? It's not a film; it's an experience.
That I don't know why I needed to go through the 15-minute acid trip at the end. That's where.
Yeah, because you really need to be on acid in order to. Well, first time I watched it, well, not probably the 7th time I watched it, I was like stoked up my skull, but I was like 19, so yeah. Okay, so the interesting thing is what I did here was trying to bootstrap up CreatorBot. So this is the CreatorBot. I'd gone through the creation of CreatorBot previously. Now, a few things that I've noticed is O1 Mini is a lot more, again, in your face and nitpicky.
Mm-hmm.
If you make a small mistake, if you're ambiguous at the start, it just like goes off on one. So, for example, I was trying to create.
Hey, if you're using the O1 models, you are actually better off to do it within ChatGPT, I believe, because can you see the reasoning here?
I don't know what the assertion was. By inside of ChatGPT using the model is. I don't understand. You mean inside the platform or?
No. Inside of ChatGPT. So you got the ChatGPT Plus thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you use,
Oh,
if
so
you
mean
use,
like.
I noticed you didn't want to go to your existing chat. So you go here and then you choose O1 Mini.
Why?
Because in this setting and only this setting, you can see the reasoning steps.
I did not realize that. I didn't think to look.
Oh, dude, hit it. So just grab one of your old prompts or any.
So if I go back, 1 second, let's try this. This is quite a big one, which at the end of the kind of reasoning of multiple bots to do that.
thinking. And now click on that.
Or click on, oh,
The thought. Click on thought for
ah,
4 seconds.
ah,
That's the reasoning.
dude, thank you. That's gonna
And
help.
this is super interesting to look at because it's like this reasoning represents a summary of things that it did in the background somehow. It's like it queued up information or it generated information. These were the only tokens it consumed, but it somehow livened up parts of its neural net to feed into the next part. Like, see how it says I'm piecing together
That's
business rules.
that's a much more sophisticated thing, but similar to when we were putting into long threat the bots that it decided. Yeah, I considered
Yeah,
this.
the debug, yeah, but all we
Yeah,
got there was the raw debug. This is a
yeah.
summary of some deeper stuff happening. And I don't think they're doing it with programming. You know, that's inference. It's inference
Oh,
level
actually.
steps.
Oh, yeah. Let me see what it does with this, because these first two steps are just like, you are create a bot. Here's the rules. Taking a closer look. That's very California. Okay, so collecting business currency, yeah, examining business rules, working through step 2. Huh. That is brilliant, because you know that then that is a rule from the system prompt that you
Mm,
know is biting at that point.
mm. It ain't faking, man. Like this is
Yeah,
actually deeply
organized,
thinking about it.
business rules. Yep. So now at this point, if it also added in erroneously, your preference for jibs, you'll
Mm.
be going, why are you breaking down the format for the jibs? Ah, right. Ah, okay. Because I asked for jibs.
Yeah. So this is pretty
And then
useful.
you got the framework. Okay, that's really
I
useful.
I I can't I can't. The API doesn't let me access what exactly happened in the thoughts. It only tells me how many tokens it burned and therefore how much money it cost. For now, they
Yeah.
will give it to us, but this at the moment, ChatGPT is the only way that you can see the reasoning information.
Okay, I'm going to move over to that. I want to highlight
Mm.
in the last few minutes I've got a few cool things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wider kind of self-reflective context seems to be better. Now I'll give you an example of that. So in another tab, I used it to create a bot. That was emotional, but eventually got there. And then the creator bot put in this, and then put in the existing gym catcher rules, and it pointed out a couple of things, which I think you'll laugh at, or at least give a wry grin. Suggesting some bots that we don't have that we need. It's like, how are you going to do this? You've got a bot for that, bot for this. You don't have a bot for this. Now, where is it?
If I didn't know better, I would say it was trying to sell its services to us.
It's almost like that, isn't it? Ah, man, where is it?
Like
I
its
can't
only
remember it.
purpose is to want us to want more tokens.
Actually, sorry, I've been using this a lot, so it's quite difficult to find. But I did laugh out loud when I thought, you bugger, we've been talking about that, but we've never done it. Where is it? I'm going to just do a bot. That's not bot. That's not bot. Fuck's sake. Yep. So it knows that there's a thing called a bot in this, and detail bot interactions. Yeah, that's all fine. Plus that. I want to show you this because it's quite funny. Yep, these are all kind of minor, well, not minor, but important definition tightens up. That's the typos. Yeah, it's creates a lot of typos, but it'll sort that. Talked about impact crystals. It was quite happy with that. Sorry, man, this is more tedious than I expected it to be.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's nice to see you, how you've been using this thing.
Is it bot completeness? Yeah. Elaborating bot implement defined bots as entities. Yeah, and we've got another. Again, we're in creator bot now. So it's trying to create a Dreamcatcher bot. Which bot is best placed to do this? Okay, so this is an interesting one. So I pointed out that there is very little cognitive difference between a bounty and a tip, except for the point where the requirements for the bounty is realized. So we defined a bounty as, I want this to be done, and you state what it needs to be done. We stated a tip is just there to be accepted or claimed, and at the point of claim, then the attribution is run, and then it gets distributed. And it pointed out that there's damn near no difference between a bounty and a tip, except for the point that the requirements of the bounty are realized, and so why not have a transition between bounty and a tip. So it's like a bounty is an unrealized tip. Or a bounty is, or let me rephrase that. A tip is without requirements. A bounty is with requirements.
So a tip is a condition-free bounty.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, that's a really good point. And then I said, well, is there an existing bot that is predefined that could deal with that? And it went through all the bots. And it's like, now the existing bots inherently manage the lifecycle incentives. And it's like, yeah, sorry about that. Proposed bot regulation bot. There's like monitor bounties, keeps track of all active bounties, associated stats, assessment.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's the
name is maybe pejorative.
The
but
state changer.
Function is
the function.
interesting.
Yeah. The state changer. It's like this is realized. These conditions are met. Yes or no. Yeah. All right. So just so I can get this in there before we run out of time. Could you please get the switchboard sorted for me as soon as you can, because I need it for a demo.
Yes.
Because I want to demo the stateboard showing the map and the files to the trucking guys, and I want to do it in the next few days. And so switchboard as it stands, I feel like it'll ruin me. Like it'll scuttle me, because
switchboard as it stands works if all the sub bots are the things that you want to do, because it will realistically do that. But I think what
while we're experimenting, it needs to change.
Well, just so we're clear, what I'm going to tell switchboard to do, and I'll do this today, is you need to have a bot called out by name.
Right.
Doesn't need to be the exact name. Doesn't need to be,
right. Like it needs to be mentioned by name in order that it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
and at the very start of the prompt too, not like.
That's a good point.
The more conditions I can have, the better, because I don't want to get screwed by switchboard
in
coming
that
in.
case, we'll say, it's like how, comma, boom, do this.
Yeah.
And then it'll switch. And
that would be perfect. It won't switch any other time. It'll just stick on what it was on last until you declare that you want to switch. Yeah,
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 that'll help me out a
exactly.
lot because I want to do this demo to indicate to them what the visual aspect looks like because they were all like, "What do you mean we're gonna have to do this all in chat?" They did not like that, and so I
Hmm.
can show them now the state board, which we always had in mind, but
Yeah,
and I want to show the map with some location going between the prompt and between the widget
okay.
and the file system where I'll be able to show the customer list going between the customers and the state board back and forth, a rapid search, those kinds of things.
Yeah, cool. So I'll update switchboard. That's not going to be a big problem. I can do that today.
Okay, awesome.
Um,
Thank you.
and I'll keep on with the O1 because I think we're going to get better
Better quality results, eh?
box inside. The your list of agents.
Hmm.
I think basically we need to rip and replace based on
Yeah.
O1, but O1 needs the creator bot, which I
Yeah.
think I've got.
Yeah.
Here because it's doing some deep thinking. I know at the top of the call I was mentioning it's made me feel quite stupid. It's like, oh, you haven't done that. It's like, damn it! I went through that with a fine tooth comb, very very slowly, multiple times. Anyway, dude,
Team
made a
Humans
mistake.
sucks, dude.
It's like, oh, fuck's sake. Okay, so switchboard is my priority. I will let you know when it's done. It shouldn't be a biggie.
Okay, and
Um,
I didn't hear any protests from you about priorities for me, right? I'll just keep going with the state board
no, it's
integration.
just yeah, no. The balls are multiply in my court at the moment.
Okay, and as
Don't
soon
need
as you
anything
can,
here.
please, please, please get back to our platform or tell me concisely why and what I need to fix.
Well, what I'll do is while I'm updating switchboard. Oh, Dumbot. Does Dumbot call O1
Dumbot's 4.0,
4.0?
4.0 mini. Dumbot's
So
4.0 mini.
So how do in the list of agents we're saying call the name and then what you want
Yeah,
it to do.
yeah.
What do I call O1? Because what I really want to do is to
Just
call
call it
O1
O1.
Mini.
There's O1 and there's O1 mini. Like, take a look at the
But
switchboard itself.
also, because you said last time it took 90 minutes to integrate, but
Yeah.
sometimes I want to talk to 4.0 Mini because, well,
So the agent names are
oh,
there's
I can't see.
O1. What? Oh, my bad.
I can't see you. My bad as well because I'm
So
just
it's O1 mini and O1, and
all right.
under switchboard they are labeled as
Agents with that file name.
agents O1. This agent has incredible deep reasoning abilities, and
Got it.
O1 mini.
Yeah, cool, nice. I'll probably just tweak that. And
Yeah.
if I wanted to get back to 4.0 Mini, presumably it'd be these similar kind of, or is it a one-way street?
4.0 mini is the default bot, but what you can do is if you edit these files, you can set the model. So you go config model, and then the model name.
Okay, and that naming convention is as set by OpenAI. So
Yeah,
just
that's
go,
right. That's set by
yeah, yeah,
OpenAI.
okay,
Now, the thing
yeah,
to watch out for, the thing that'll mess you, is that you can't have system instructions in an O1 bot, and you can't have function calls in an O1 bot.
yeah. No, that's fine. Those
Out of
things
my
are
control,
fair
sorry.
enough. Yeah, yeah. No, and
Yeah, but everything
there's ways to work
else,
around that. Yeah.
yeah. So, when you go like, I think agents back chat, yeah. See how it's not. I haven't specified a model. By default,
Mhm.
it goes to 4.0 mini.
Got it.
Uh,
Okay, right. So if I, so if I want to talk to, say, O1 Mini, I can put put it in the switchboard saying
yep,
I want to talk to O1 Mini. That's the
yep,
name of an agent,
yep.
and then I'm talking to that. I'll make it sticky. So saying don't change until I tell you which other bot I want to talk to now.
Yep.
and that should work. Yeah. Okay. All right, man.
Sweet.
I'll get that done by tomorrow morning.
Okay, man. Thank you.
Your time.
That'd be sweet. Whew, she's hairy, buddy. She's hairy, but she's getting there. It's like your first prostitute. That was not what I meant. Not even close.
Yeah, probably shouldn't have said that. Yeah. Not that we're monetized on YouTube, but it's probably going to get me banned.
Yeah.
I'm pretty pleased that we got banned by Russia, though. But
yeah, I feel honored. I mean, I feel like actually purposely banning ourselves from Russia. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll just continue on. I was very pleased with this. This thing integrated very well. There were some very nifty speed ups and caching that is possible because it's Git and hash based content. This is the speed it takes to read from New Zealand to the Deno system to load up these files from the database, which is right. It's near.
That's faster than my local network SAN.
You wouldn't even know, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know, and that's not optimized. Like I can still optimize that to be even faster, but I'm like, what's the point? You know, like it's plenty.
Right, dude. Sorry.
You gotta go. Okay, see you later. Yep, no worries. Okay,
I will see you tomorrow. But
cool.
Yeah. Boom, Californian. Oh, it's not working.
No, because you got your finger out. You got to fist it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, you were like trying to. Yeah, that's. You're like, shoot a friggin'. It's like a high precision, like. I don't. Yeah, right. It doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Top tip for next time. Anyway, right. See you tomorrow.
Okay. See you.
See you, man.